world decrees, nature administers. I give myself to its inevitable sways.
The only path the powerless see before them is the one that keeps them powerless.
What a beautiful friendship. I love so much that Akuma can just be around the maps doing things. Hello, my fellow hunters! Today I want to talk Akuma. I want to talk punching monsters to death. I want to talk our honestly, 15th weapon. This is, I think, beyond what anyone expected. And I think expectations is a great place to start here, because undoubtedly, Akuma, everything he does and brings is amazing. Like, it's so entertaining to punch monsters to death, to hit that offset, to do that wound pop. It's so satisfying. The fact that you get this fully animated slap round the monster is just But to go back to that word expectations, I think a lot of people had a kind of moment when it was announced to be Street Fighter again, because let's be honest, there's been a fair few Street Fighter collabs in Monster Hunter history, which on one hand is a little bit, okay, can we get something else? But on the other hand, you know, it's another Capcom property that they want to do well and is incredibly popular, so you kind of get it from that sense. But in any case, you heard it, we all heard it, and we were like, okay, it's going to be, you know, like an event quest with, I guess, the most thematically available monster in Wilds. Maybe it'll be big or small or something. We hunt it, we unlock a ticket, and that gives us an armor set. Maybe it's just layered, we look like a Street Fighter character, and that's about it. And that's kind of reasonable as the expectation, because that's what most Monster Hunter collabs kind of took the form of. And that doesn't make them bad. So many have been thoroughly entertaining. There is an absolutely wild list of collabs in Monster Hunter's history. You would probably find a harder time naming a franchise or series or something that hasn't been collabed more than one that has. I mean, we got a fucking Palico Dark Magician of all things. I still think that is glorious.
It's not possible!
In any case, it does tend to take the form of a fun little armor set and occasionally weapons. You unlock it, it's amusing, and then we just kind of move on and it's there. Sometimes it actually is kind of meta-relevant, like some USJ collabs, Star Knight armor, but most of the time it is just a bit fleeting entertainment, and they're good to see, they're nice to have, but it's nothing crazy. With a few exceptions, like one that we'll be talking about today in the Witcher collab. So while they've always been neat, they've not exactly been earth-shattering, and if you're not super invested in the particular IP that's collabing, it's a sort of, alright. And I think that's where a lot of people were. Come the reveal and then release of the fact that he's got an entire moveset built in that mirrors Street Fighter, and you can punch monsters to death with a voiced special side quest with actual story elements, and he's an NPC in the game, and everyone's like, sorry, I was not aware of your Street Fighter collab game. Okay, fair enough, our bad. And that's okay, it's certainly not a moment of, everyone that thought it was going to be disappointed, don't you look silly now, because, well, history is what history is. But I think we can all take this moment to say, no, fair enough, we should have a little bit more faith in this modern era of Monster Hunter. This is absolutely brilliant, a lot of care, love, detail, and effort has clearly gone into it, and, you know, it's still a free update, and I really think it is fair to say that this is the best collab that hasn't introduced a whole monster, which, let's be honest, hasn't happened very often, in Monster Hunter's history. And that is really impressive. I genuinely don't think that is a stretch. I really don't. How can you get better than an actual new mechanical way to hunt monsters? For all the memes of 15th weapon, it hit, and everyone really had this moment of, okay, no, it kind of actually is, though. This is amazing. And I had that as well. It really is amazing, and I think it is important to just take a moment here and talk about that, because if this is the standard of collabs now going forward, Essentially, anything could be chosen as a collab, and it's probably going to be a really good time. And that is so exciting. And in hindsight, we sort of should have seen this coming. We've had collabs in the 5th gen onwards, and they've always been, at least at minimum, quite good. I think something like the Dante one is a nice example of a more standard collab done well. It was a solid armor set, a really cool charge blade, it was well implemented, but it was nothing ridiculous, it didn't have those kind of story elements. It gave us some fun gestures, some fun times, and that's all well and good. That, I feel like, is sort of the minimum now. But then we kind of got The Witcher, right? And yes, that did eventually result in Ancient Lesson and an actual monster to hunt, though a lot of people do feel it was a little bit gimmicky. I really enjoyed it, but that's because Witcher 3 is my joint favorite game of all time. In any case, that one, I think, is actually, ironically, closest to this Wilds Akuma one. We got a new character introduced to the game, he was voiced, there was story elements, a unique hunt with unique things happening, the monsters, the Pookie caught up in the branches, there was the attack deco reward if you got it, which was amazing, there was actual things going on, the crazed small monsters and endemic life, and all of the equipment that went with it, the Geralt set, the Siri set, and then actually being able to Igni, a early example of attacking more properly with a gesture type system that Akuma has really ran with. And when you look back at it, The Witcher was, I think at that point, the best overall package collab we've gotten. And The Witcher was a whole title update. Yes, again, it had a monster, so that's why. But the fact that I can really make this comparison to Akuma, and Akuma's just not a title update, it's just a bonus update in the middle of title updates, I think says a lot. Yes, Behemoth was unbelievable as a hunt, and his armor was meta. He is definitively up there fighting for that top spot, but I think as an overall, update story-esque experience to the game, the whole Witcher event was really, really cool. In any case, it pretty much goes Behemoth, Witcher, and then Akuma as the 3 standouts. So this, out the gate, is a really, really strong showing for Wilds, and let's be honest, it's not going to be the last one. Every monster in the game gets quite a few collabs, and if we are all going to get this level of quality and actual detail put into them, then I for one am excited. I don't really mind now what actually gets chosen to collab, because it's probably going to be fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, there is almost certainly going to be some that are just do an event quest, get an armor set, woo. But I think if they go out their way to specify on any roadmaps or updates or dev diaries, etc., that a collab is coming, I think we can now actually expect it to be a proper, almost mini title update. A lot of people are calling this May update title update 1.5, and I think that's entirely accurate. The collab itself is worthy enough and is providing plenty of new playtime opportunities for Wilds, but then we've got the 8-star tempers, all of the updates to the weapons, the quality of life. It's a really healthy injection to Wilds, and I'm really, really glad to see it. And after all the silly doom and glooming I saw around the place about Wilds' player numbers from people that forget this is an entirely normal cycle of a game post-release, to shoot back up to over the 100,000 mark from a Akuma collab, I think is all you need to hear for how successfully it's landed. Now, before we go on, I do want to address the one big issue / complaint that a lot of people, I think, both fairly and unfairly are having, and that is, let me layer off the Akuma, I want to punch things as my hunter. I want the moveset, I don't want to look like Akuma. And I totally get that. It would be a lot of fun to just punch things to death as literally your hunter and not Akuma. It would feel a lot better, it would give it more longevity, because as soon as the novelty wears out, even if you really enjoy using the air quotes 15th weapon, it's gonna get to the point where you prefer actually seeing your hunter more than you enjoy the weapon, which is a shame, making people choose between aesthetics and mechanics in the long run. And I do think and do hope that that eventually we do get a way to use Akuma without looking like Akuma. I think that is potentially a misstep or a missed opportunity here. Not even being able to put the scarf on Akuma is honestly the greatest shame, because it would just really add a lot, I think. But on the other hand, the reason for it, I think, is fairly straightforward. It's a collab. Ultimately, while it's fun, new content-y stuff, it is there to make people go, oh wow, Akuma's fun, this moveset's fun, maybe I should play Street Fighter 6. You know, the point of a collab is to advertise the other game that is being collabed in. And while that is the cynical way to look at it, it is also part of the reason of doing it, the cross-promotion. So if random hunters are joining random SOS hunts and seeing Akumas punching, they want people to see Akuma punching, not the hunter, as that might lead to some sort of confusion of, oh, why can't I use the punch weapon? And look, we totally get that that's ridiculous because we're very intimate with Monster Hunter, but from the casual perspective, that's clearly the intention. Whether you agree with that or not, it is at least a reason that makes sense, or you can see that would make sense from Capcom's perspective. So while I completely do agree, want, and think you should be able to just punch things as literally your hunter and not Akuma, I also understand why it has turned out this way. This is the first time they've ever done something like this, put in a pseudo extra entire mechanical moveset that's supported within the mechanics of the game, and well, there's going to be teething issues. I think if the outcry is big enough, they might well add support for doing these things as your actual hunter in future. But I think one thing is clear, as a baseline for collabs, or just maybe even Capcom collabs going forward, this is phenomenal. Like, it's so good. And now it does kind of make me want to see that Dragon's Dogma 2, though that seems to just have been forgotten about, which is a real shame. But in any case, I think no matter what gets added, it's going to be wonderful. Now I want another Devil May Cry. I want another Resident Evil. I want to see what kind of actual storylines and new mechanics other Capcom collabs can bring, and I never thought I would say that until this has happened. So yeah, all in all, I am really, really enjoying it, and seeing so many of you guys just full commit to punching things as Akuma instead of your weapons, to the point that a lot of people, even if they're like hammer mains, haven't even looked at the buffs yet because they're too busy Akumaing, is really amusing. So let me know what you guys think of this collab, but I think it is a huge positive step for collabs, and I'm really looking forward to, well, the next one now, and seeing how they take it. I hope this wasn't just a one-off, and a new statement on making these collabs exciting and feel like mini proper updates in of themselves. In any case, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.